Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. We'd like to welcome all of our YouTube live listeners, our listeners over Facebook Live, and our listeners over Zoom. Welcome to all of you to this day 9 of the Japa Workshop. So before we move forward, we'd like to announce the names of the participants of the quiz session from yesterday. We would like to thank Mother Flavia. We thank Hari Prasad Prabhu, Anjudi, Vrinda Gopika Mataji, Nutan Purohit Mataji, and her two wonderful sons, Rishikesh and Anirudh. Thank you so much for participating in the quiz session with great enthusiasm. We are very, very grateful to all of you. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Can we have the slideshow, please? Yesterday, we covered Ruchi and Asakti, the 6th and the 7th process of Bhakti. Today, we will cover Bhava, the 8th process of Bhakti. I just wanted to make sure that we are projecting the second email slideshow that we sent. I just wanted to make sure. So today, we will cover Bhava, the 8th process of Bhakti.
Can we go back to the first slide, please? Thank you.
We had sent you a second presentation in the email and just wanted to make sure that you're using the second one and not the first one that we sent earlier. So today we'll be discussing the affirmations 15 to 17. Then we go to Bhava Bhakti. Today we discuss how Bhava Bhakti is Sat Chit Ananda. And then in Bhava, how the I and mind gets transformed in Bhava Bhakti. Then we discuss about the 5th and 6th verse of Srimad Siksastakam, categories of Bhava, and then story of Maharaj Bharath, who was in the Bhava Bhakti stage. We discuss today on the 9th offense to the holy name, how to perceive difficulties and how to perform service to the spiritual master. And finally, we end with ways of not chanting Japa. So today we discuss 15, 16, and 17 affirmations. The 15th affirmation says, I continuously keep improving my standard and focus while I'm chanting Japa. Which means that one of the most important goals of this Japa workshop is to come to a point in which bad Japa is unacceptable to us. So therefore, we set a higher standard of Japa, and anything below that standard of Japa becomes unacceptable. And so this affirmation tells us that we must continuously strive to improve Japa. Sometimes we fear that if I endeavor to improve my Japa, anyway, it's not going to last too long, and I will fall back on my old habits. So this affirmation helps us to overcome poor Japa by creating an internal threshold that we never allow ourselves to go below and keep raising that threshold. Can we go to the Japa affirmations, please?
Next slide and the next slide. Perfect. Thank you. The 16th Japa affirmation is that I organize my life to make Japa the most important activity of my day. You see, if we don't consciously organize our life in a way that it supports our japa. It's possible that aspect of our lifestyle may undermine our good japa. For example, if I stay up late, I will automatically not be able to get up early. Early, rising late can negatively affect my japa. If I read book or eat something or read something that is not related to Krishna, it will have a different effect on my japa. If I criticize devotees, it will affect me in different ways and it will not allow me to chant the holy names. If I allow myself to be so busy that I have little or no time to read or do service, then that will affect my japa. That will make my japa very mechanical. So the other things that we do during the day, that actually is supposed to be meant to enhance our japa. For example, giving the holy names to others, you know, sharing about Krishna with others, distributing books that empowers. All of these things empowers our chanting. So this affirmation makes us look good into our life and consider whether we are doing anything that will undermine our ability to chant japa. Because if I'm not organizing my life in a way that I give priority to my japa, what kind of a life am I leading? This is something, that is why this is the 16th affirmation, which is coming towards the end of our japa, that we need to focus our, goals of our life, set priorities in our life. So therefore, this is a very, very important affirmation, keeping that in mind.
17th, my beads are my connection with Krishna and my ticket back to Godhead. Srila Prabhupada, he wrote to His Holiness Srila Giriraj Maharaj, your beads are your connection to Krishna. Srila Prabhupada also said 16 rounds is your ticket back to Godhead. So Srila Prabhupada said, the essence of our philosophy is chanting. And so then devotees asked, so Prabhupada, then why did you write so many books? Srila Prabhupada said, if it was left to me, I would have filled my books just by the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That's all. Because that is the essence. But then if I would have filled the books with Hare Krishna Mahamantra, no one would have read it. And people would have need to be convinced intellectually that you need to chant. And so I had to go the roundabout way with so many different philosophical things that what you are doing is not correct, and now start chanting. So that is the essence. Ultimately, Srila Prabhupada said, of all the rules and regulations given to us by the spiritual master, chanting 16 rounds is the most essential, and all other processes are contained within our japa. So we should never minimize the importance of japa, and japa must be the highest priority
in our life. So this is how we have our japa affirmations for today. Next slide, please. We come now to the next stage of devotional service, which is bhava. Now we see that the buds are now in the blossoming stage when asakti, the stage just before bhava. Yesterday we saw asakti, which means deep attachment. When asakti becomes mature, when the attachment becomes completely mature, it is known as bhava or rati. Rati means, the emotional, the ecstasy that we feel in chanting, in serving Krishna. So this bhava is the budding stage of the three Swarupa Shaktis, which are eternity, which is Sat. Chit means absolutely conscious, fully knowledgeable, and bliss, which is ananda. So in bhava stage, all of these three Swarupa Shaktis, these three energies are automatically established within our heart. You see, in the material world, can we have the next slide, please? In the material world, we know that we are conditioned by the three modes of material nature that are sattva guna, rajoguna, and tamoguna. Mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. These are the three qualities that control us in this material world. But what controls us in the spiritual world? In the spiritual world also, there are three energies coming directly from Krishna, which are called as Samvit, Sandhini, and Ladini. Samvit Shakti is the Sat, Chit, Sat aspect of the Lord, which means the Sat means the eternal aspect of the Lord, which is signified by the Samvit potency of the Lord. Chit is Sandhini. Chit means that we are very conscious. In the spiritual world, it is said when we were listening to Damodar pastime, if you may remember, that even the milk, even the flowers, everything in connection to Krishna is conscious. So everything in the spiritual world is a conscious living entity, even though they may be inanimate objects. They are all conscious. So therefore, that is the potency of Sandhini Shakti. Everything is chit. Everyone is present. They are conscious of their presence in relation to Krishna. That is the chit potency, which is called as the Sandhini potency, the Sandhini energy of Krishna. And bliss, which is Ananda, Satchit Ananda. Ananda is that, everlasting happiness, everlasting bliss that we derive in the service of Krishna. Means it is uninterrupted. Happiness means it's just the, mitigation of misery is called happiness. But bliss is something that can never end, can never be cessated. That is called as bliss. And that Shakti is Ladini Shakti. So all of these three are the energies of Krishna, who are actually manifestations of none other than Srimati Radharani. Samvit, Sandhini, and Ladini Shaktis are manifestations of Srimati Radharani, and therefore Krishna is called as Satchid Ananda Swarupa. That means Krishna is filled with Sat, Chit, and Ananda. Samvit, Sandhini, and Ladini Shaktis. This is how we understand Krishna's, Satchidananda Swarupa. And this is the stage of bhava, where from the material modes, the three modes of material nature, we transcend them and we come to the protection of Krishna's transcendental energy, which is the Samvit, Sandhini, and Ladini. Then these three energies, they control us. We are always meant to be controlled. We can choose whether we want to be controlled by the external energy of Krishna, which manifests in the form of the material world and the material modes, or we can choose to be controlled by the internal energy of Krishna, which is the Samvit, Sandhini, and Ladini Shaktis, the potency of Srimati Radharani. So the choice is up to us, but this is what happens in the stage of bhava.
Next slide, please. In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami explains Bhava Bhakti. Shuddha Sattva Visheshatma Prema Suryam Susamya Bhak Ruchi Bhisthittamasrinya Krid Asau Bhav Uchyate. When the heart has softened as a result of Ruchi, Sadhana Bhakti becomes Bhava Bhakti. This Bhava Bhakti is a special manifestation of Shuddha Sattva. It is like a ray of the sun of Prema Bhakti. Prema Bhakti is about to come, just like we see in the photograph. In fact, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains in Chaitanya Shikshamrita, very simple way. Prema Bhakti is the fruit of Sadhana Bhakti. And this Prema Bhakti, this fruit, has two stages, Bhava and Prema. If Prema is compared to the sun, then Bhava is the initial ray of that sun. Bhava, the Swarup of which is Vishuddha Sattva, it melts. Now the stone-like heart starts melting. through Ruchi. So this, next slide, please. This bhava is said like the fully blossoming flower of the wish-fulfilling bhakti. The flower is sudurlabha. Next slide, please. Very, very rarely achieved. And it even makes liberation small. Moksha laghuta krit. So here we see the bhava is blossoming of the flower of the wish-fulfilling wine of bhakti. Next slide, please. And this Bhava Bhakti has two characteristics, that it's not ordinary, it's very rare. Sudurlabha. And it is moksha laghuta krit. It seems moksha, liberation, also as very small, makes it small. And this flower of bhava, it emanates such a charming fragrance that Sri Madhusudana is attracted to it, and he manifests directly before the devotee in the bhava stage. Sri Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai. In the bhava stage, before the bhava stage, we have this bodily conception of I and mine, aham mameti, that I am this body, everything that belongs to this body is mine. In Bhava Bhakti, we still have I and mine, but that conception is transformed. It seems as if I, me, and my don't exist. Next slide, please. But the devotee becomes fully cognizant of this and engages in the service of the Lord, that I am Krishna's and Krishna is mine. That is how I and mine transforms from the body to Krishna.
And this is signified here in this 5th and the 6th verse of the Sri Siksastakam given by Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, which is categorized in the section of bhava, that we are giving up ourselves in the service of Krishna. So, Nanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavam Budho Kripaya Tava Pada Pankaja Sthita Dhuli Sadrisham Vichinkaya. O son of Maharaj Nanda, O Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yet somehow or other I have fallen into this ocean of birth and death. Please, please, pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your transcendental lotus feet. Next slide, please.
Nayanam galadashrudharaya Vadanam gadgadrudhaya gira Pulakairinichitam vapu kada Tavanama grahane bhavishyati. Oh my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with the tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up? And when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name?
So these are verses given by Gauranga Mahaprabhu himself, which are in the category of Bhava Bhakti. Next slide, please.
So there are 5 rasas in each bhava. There is the Shantaras, Dasya Ras, Sakhya Ras, Vatsalya Ras, and Madhurya Ras. These are all 5 stages of Bhava Bhakti. 5 stages of Bhava start manifesting in these different rasa. Shanta Ras at the very bottom is, for example, the flute. It is inanimate in one sense, but it is fully conscious. And whenever Krishna wants it, he can use the flute in his service. So he is serving in the passive state. Dasyaras is serving in the active state, like Hanuman. Sakyaras is serving as a friend, just like Madhumangal and Sudama, Sridama. Vatsalya Ras is serving as a parental love, Mother Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj. And then Madhurya Ras is like the queens of Krishna in Dwarka and Mathura. They are in Swakiya Madhurya Ras. And then the gopis in Vrindavan and Srimati Radharani in the Parakiya Madhurya Ras. So these are the five rasas of Bhava Bhakti. Next slide, please.
So we must understand that these five rasas, it's not that they are a ladder, that we must, now that we are in grade one, we have to then, move from, from Shantaras, we have to, graduate and we'll go to Dasyaras. Then we graduate, we go to Sakhyaras. No, all these rasas, they are complete in themselves. They are not a ladder. Someone who is in Dasyaras is so content, is so satisfied in their eternal service to Krishna that, that is complete for them. Like you say, Hanuman, if you give Hanuman an option, Lord Ramachandra himself comes and gives Hanuman an option that, okay, Hanuman, I'm very pleased with your service. So from Dasya Ras today, I promote you that you can become my Sakha. And Hanuman says, okay, my Lord, what will I do as your Sakha? And then, as a friend, Lord Ramachandra says, you can sit on my shoulder, you can nicely slap me, you can do whatever you want with me, just like a friend. And then Hanuman will take up his gada and say, who is daring to slap my Lord? How can anyone sit on my Lord's shoulders? You see how the Dasya Ras, in someone in Dasya Ras, they are completely satisfied in their rasa. They don't feel the need to elevate themselves. It's complete. Then what is the difference between these five stages of Bhava Bhakti? The difference is
These are, in one sense, if I may interrupt, these are not five stages of bhakti. Stages would mean that one to other to the other to other. These are different rasas of bhakti.
Exactly. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada explains that these rasas are complete in themselves. And the only difference is that one rasa is more intimate than the other rasa. That is the only difference. So in Sakhya ras, there is less intimacy than Vatsalya ras. But the most intimate is Parakiya Madhurya ras. That is the most intimate that that Krishna enjoys with Srimati Radharani and the gopis of Vrindavan. That is Madhurya Ras. That is the most intimate. So this is how we understand the different categories of Bhava Bhakti. Next slide, please.
So now we discuss the story of Maharaj Bharath, who had achieved the stage of bhava.
So Maharaj Bharath was an exceptional king, and at the end of his life, he gave his kingdom to his worthy sons, and then he left for the forest. He came and started staying in the forest all by himself, all alone. And one day he saw that there was a mother deer who was being chased by a tiger, and then she had to jump over a waterfall. Next slide, please. And while she was jumping over the waterfall, she had a miscarriage. And, she had her baby fell into the water stream, and Maharaj Bharat was witnessing all this. So Maharaj Bharat very affectionately picked up the baby deer. He saved the baby deer and he brought the baby deer to his ashram and started taking care of the baby deer. Next slide, please. And then when the baby deer started growing up, Maharaj Bharat was taking very good care of this baby deer, and slowly Maharaj Bharat was developing an attachment to the deer. The attachment grew to such an extent, next slide, please, that Maharaj Bharat, when he was performing his spiritual practices, daily spiritual practices, he would be conscious, oh, where did the deer go? Where did the deer go? Is it okay? Is it safe? So he started neglecting his spiritual practices. And he was all by himself, all alone, taking care of this deer. Therefore, he thought that it is his responsibility to be, properly taking care of this deer. Thus, his attachment kept growing towards the deer. Next slide, please. And then at the time of his death, Maharaj Bharath, he was, thinking that, oh, now I'm giving up my body. What is going to happen to that little deer that I saved? What's going to happen? And because he gave up his body, thinking about the deer, as the Bhagavad Gita says, Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajatyante kalevaram tam tamevaiti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavitaha. Whatever state of being a person is at the time of death, that state he will attain in his next life. So therefore, Maharaj Bharat, although because he was thinking about this deer, next life he became a deer. He was in the stage of Bhava Bhakti to Krishna, and he fell down from that stage. Next slide, please. He became a deer in his next life, and although he became a deer, he remembered that it is because of my, over attachment, over caring nature that I have gotten this form of this deer. And therefore, as a deer, the Maharaj Bharat, in the form of a deer, in the body of the deer, he would listen to only sadhus, he would roam around the great sages. Next slide, please. And therefore, next slide, third life, he became Jada Bharat. You see the white man who is carrying the palanquin of King Rahugana, he is now become Jada Bharat in the third life. And he was a Jatismara. Next slide, please. Maharaj Bharat, in the form of Jada Bharat in his third life, he remembered his previous lives. He remembered his past lives, the mistakes that he had committed. So he started staying in the association of devotees. He would never be alone as Jada Bharat. He would always stay amongst sadhus so that, if he is going away from devotional practice, then the other sadhus could caution him. And he became very, 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 conscious of his spiritual life as Jada Bharat. Next slide, please. So then Jada Bharat, of course, instructs King Rahugana, and he instructs him in spiritual consciousness, and how then as Jada Bharat, then he goes back home, back to Godhead. What is the moral of this story? There are a few morals of this pastime, that even from the Bhava Bhakti stage, if we are not having sadhu sangha, you see the sadhu sangha, if we see the creeper of Bhakti Lata, if you remember, we had pointed out one very, very important fact about sadhu sangha, association of devotees, that it is supposed to be there till prema. We must not give up the association of devotees, because Maharaj Bharat was all alone. He did not have any devotees who could tell him that, my dear Bharat Maharaj, you are, getting overly attached to this deer. Please, sadhu, savdhan. There was no one to correct Bharat Maharaj. That is why we need the association of devotees, not just to correct us, but when we see others engaged in enthusiastic service, we also get enthused in our devotional practice. So therefore, association of devotees is an essential aspect of our Krishna consciousness, that we must be associating with proper devotees so that our bhakti gets enhanced.
Next slide, please. So therefore, this actually explains how we should see difficulties in our life. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he presented 4 simple points regarding how a devotee sees the material world and its difficulties. Lord Brahma praised to Krishna after the Brahma Vimohan Leela. He said, Tattenukampa susamikshamano bhunjana evatmakritam vipakam ritvakvapurbhe vidadha namaste jive mukti pade sadaiva. Which means that Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur translates that as a person is entitled to that attainment of service of the lotus feet of Supreme Personality of Godhead. who redeems everyone from the worldly bondage. Which kind of person? A person who lives by submitting to him by heart, by speech and body, realized by his good vision of Krishna's mercy in the sufferings entailed caused by his own past misdeeds. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, there is no other way of being delivered from this world when we are to see our difficulties as Krishna's mercy. Because we should have the faith, whatever Krishna does is for a good, for our own good. We can be redeemed only if we behold this kind of mercy in every event. We see Krishna's mercy in every event, in every activity. But he warns, if we notice any defects in his work or realize any cruelty, it is sure to result in evil and difficulty for us. Next slide, please. Then we understand all of my difficulty is because of my forgetfulness of Krishna, is because I'm engrossed in activities other than service of Krishna. If the taste for Krishna service is increased day by day, then I will be very much blessed. I want to make the darling son of Sri Nanda Maharaj as the object of my worship and the only means of attraction. In fact, Krishna has attracted so many souls so effectively that they do not experience any other desire. That is the natural function of the soul. Next slide, please. Then Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, sometimes even in the guise of service to Krishna, in that disguise, sometimes we engage in activities to promote our own glories. And then for such devotees, Krishna's mercy will also appear, but it will appear in the form of difficulty, in such a way that at that point a sincere devotee will have no choice other than to bow to the natural function of the soul and surrender to Krishna. Next slide, please. Therefore, humility is the key. We must be very humble and take shelter. Humility leads to namashraya, taking shelter of the holy name. Because if we see, actually we have no other shelter than the holy names. Every other shelter we think of is temporary and illusory. Only Krishna's holy name is the shelter. We cannot depend on our material opulence because it's going to go away. We can only depend on Krishna's mercy. Therefore, next slide, please. We should chant Krishna's names in a fixed mood, humble mood. Next slide, please. And say, Krishna, I am yours. And you have kindly come in the form of your holy names. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Next slide, please.
And this sincerity and this, way that we can actually depend on the holy name. What is the simplest process of getting this faith? This sincerity is service to the spiritual master. As Srila Prabhupada has said, one should understand Krishna in truth, and this one can do only by serving a pure devotee of the Lord. So service to Guru is very, very important. Srila Prabhupada says that if by Krishna's mercy he gets in touch with a bona fide spiritual master and abides by the orders given by the Guru and engages other souls in the service of Krishna, he then attains, guaranteed he will attain the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. Next slide, please. The dictionary meaning of sincerity is honesty of mind or freedom from hypocrisy. Hypocrisy is pretense, and when we are free of pretense, our external behavior and statements will actually match our internal state. We will not speak one thing and do something else ourselves. Whatever we are speaking, we are actually doing that. And only when we actually do that, then the words have potency. Otherwise, it is all just flowery language.
And in fact, all we require to become servants of Guru and Gauranga Mahaprabhu is sincerity. In fact, Krishna tells Uddhava in Srimad Bhagavatam that, and this is very, very important for all the sadhakas, because sometimes we are not able to be steady in our devotional service. This verse tells that Krishna understands it. He tells in Uddhava Gita, 11th canto, my devotee should remain happy and worship me with great faith and conviction, even though he's sometimes engaged in sense enjoyment. My devotee knows that all sense gratification leads to a miserable result, and he sincerely repents such activities. Of course, that does not mean that because Krishna understands, so we can now engage in sinful activities. But this, the devotee's sincere desire to please Krishna is their Krishna consciousness. So if we want to see if we are Krishna conscious or not, just see if we have a sincere desire to please Krishna. Not to show off to others, but sincerely, if no one was watching us, would we still sincerely desire to please Krishna, sincerely try to please Krishna? That is the test of sincerity. Next slide, please.
So therefore here we see how Ram, this is Ram and Lakshmana serving their Guru Maharaj, Vashishta Muni. And, in this regard, we are reminded of a very wonderful story given by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur in relation to serving the spiritual master. One time, there was a guru who had two disciples. And then those two disciples, they were always competing with each other. Oh, I want to serve the guru better. I want to serve the guru better. And the guru was thinking, how can I, make these two devotees get over their competitiveness? So then the guru one day lay down and then, he told both the disciples, okay, one of you come and massage my right feet and the other one come and massage my left feet. Just like here we see Ram Lakshman, massaging both the legs, one each. So then both the disciples, they started massaging. One disciple is massaging the right leg, and the other disciple is massaging the left leg. And then suddenly, the the guru is nicely enjoying the massage. Very nice, very nice. And then suddenly the left leg disciple is thinking, oh, why should the right leg of my guru, which is being massaged by this competitor of mine, he should not be doing it nicely. So he just comes and he pinches the right leg of the guru, and the guru goes, ah. At that time, this right leg disciple, he thinks, oh, he took away my service. He is making this right leg my service to my guru. He has done this. Now wait and see what I will do. He brings a big stone and he puts it on the left leg of the guru. And the guru, gets up, my left leg. So what is happening in all of this? Are we competing to serve in this way? That we are, giving harm, we are causing harm to our own spiritual master. Is the spiritual master happy with such service? Rather, if we can serve our spiritual master by cultivating love and trust amongst us as disciples, then the spiritual master is so happy with our collective service that we are performing in the service to our guru. You see, love and trust is something that is not common in material life. You cannot have love and trust together.
we can either love someone, many times we love someone, but we may not trust them. For example, we may love our children to death, but are we willing to give our teenage child, trust them with the keys of the car or any other thing? Maybe not. At the same time, we may trust our financial advisor, our accountant. We give everything we trust. Do we really love them? No. So sometimes we love people, but we may not trust them. Sometimes we trust, but we may not love them. But love and trust together, wherever there is, the relationship will survive and thrive. Similarly, this with the guru, we must have this relationship with the guru and the disciples of the guru, our god brothers, god cousins. We must have a relationship of love and trust. Srila Prabhupada said, love and trust is the oil of the machinery of ISKCON, which keeps it's invisible in one sense because it's beneath all the curvatures and everything, but it is the thing that keeps running everything smoothly. If the oil is not there, it'll run, but it'll be a lot of noise and clinking and clacking and so many things and so much friction that at one point there will be wear and tear. So therefore, it's important that we prioritize developing love and trust amongst devotees and not pinch Srila Prabhupada's other leg.
So in ISKCON, we have Srila Prabhupada as our spiritual grandfather. He's our spiritual grandfather, and our spiritual master is our spiritual father. But we must not neglect our spiritual uncles, our spiritual aunties, our spiritual cousins. This is the family of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada writes, one astrologer saw Srila Prabhupada and he said that he can make a world in which he can make a world in which the entire world can live very happily. He can make a whole he can make a house in which the entire world can live very peacefully. So this is what Srila Prabhupada has done, that he has built a home. This ISKCON is a home in which the entire world can live very peacefully. That is up to us, how we treat each other, not saying, oh, you're my guru's disciple, therefore you're dear to me. You're that guru's disciple. No, 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 no. No, this is everyone is in relation to Srila Prabhupada. We are all grand disciples of Srila Prabhupada. And this movement has to go on for the next 10,000 years. The legacy is upon us, how we pass the baton on to our next generation so that Srila Prabhupada's legacy lives on forever. That is how we must understand this. And this is the bottom line. Service to the spiritual master is the bottom line. It's the key that opens the door to Bhava Bhakti and then ultimately to Prema Bhakti. Next slide, please.
So now we come to next slide, please. Instructing a faithless person regarding the glories of the holy name. This is the 9th offense to the holy name. Generally, it is not an offense to tell people to chant the Lord's names, but telling something like, oh, Krishna and his holy name are non-different, and uh, telling all these mysterious secret glories of the holy name to a very new person who does not even have faith. That is this 9th offense. So we can instruct them to chant, but not go overboard about the glories of the holy name. We should tell them according to their level. Next slide, please. So now we come to ways of not chanting japa. 25th is bitter medicine japa, which means our experience of the holy name is like a bitter medicine. Yeah, ooh, we chant, but then our face turns in disgust as we chant. Sri Yamunacharya said, Whenever I think of sense gratification, yadavadhi nari sangame smaryamane, bhavati mukha vikaraha sushtu nishti vanam cha. My lips curl in distaste and I spit at the thought. But sometimes we are so bored that our face turns in disgust when we are chanting. We should not do that. 26th is painful japa, where our mind is so out of control that it is painful to control it. And the expression in our face shows that we are so bored. And we are like, when will we keep removing our japamala from our japa bag and see how much is left, how much is left? Oh, only half of it is left.
Even
Oh my
counting this,
God.
oh, 4 rounds. I've got still 12 more rounds to go. Oh
Hare
no.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And it's almost like a person who has a knife in their back, or someone with a severe constipation.
Next one is shaking japa. The shaking japa is also sometimes called as the ants in your pants japa, or ants in your skirts japa, ants in your saris japa, that we are constantly shaking. We are thinking that if we shake and chant, if we do this, then we are going to be very, 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 very mindful. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. We're shaking and chanting. We also get disturbed, our entire body gets disturbed. And then people who are watching us also, they're thinking, Are Baba, this is such a painful process. I don't want to chant like this. What example are we setting for others? If it is not something very pleasurable, why will anyone else take it up? It is looking as if we are in so much of, as if we are in a jumping jolt ride, something like that. That's not the way we must chant our japa.
And finally, the radar japa, where we are chanting, we're looking around everything like a radar. Here and there, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Oh, so nice this thing. Oh, what is this devotee doing? This person is staring at me for a long time. And looking at everybody while chanting. Oh, this person is distracted. Look, oh, he's chanting, but he's distracted. Or we are looking at so many different places and just having sense gratification like a radar going back and forth.
So this radar japa is something very, very funny. Rather than focusing on our own japa, we are focusing on everyone else, looking at what everyone else is doing, looking at everything that is around us. That is called as radar japa, which we must definitely try to avoid.
And if someone says something, we don't respond in words, we respond in Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram
Ram
Ram,
Ram,
Ram Ram,
Hare
Ram
Hare.
Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Hare. So we should avoid that.
So this is radar japa. These are the ways of not chanting our japa. Next slide, please. Thus, we complete today's day 9 of Japa Workshop. So, with all of this in mind, today we can end the slideshow here. Thank you very much. So, today again, we will chant, 27 times of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So, with all the affirmations, all the moods that we have been listening to all these days, let's try to put that into practice. Let's try to, focus on the tip, the personal tip that Srila Prabhupada gave. So, let us, try to massage the beads when we are chanting Krishna Krishna and stop when we are doing Rama. So let's try to increase our attentiveness and our feeling of, a dependence, utter dependence on Krishna, and praying to Krishna, praying to Srila Prabhupada, praying to our Guru Maharaj, so that he may reveal to us the entire potency of the complete potency of the holy name. And that when we are chanting with that feeling, with that bhava, that may we realize that Krishna is actually dancing on our tongue. So with this mood of prayer, let us chant 27 times the Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki Jai. So before opening up the lines, we will just announce the quiz questions for today.
First, what are the 13th and 14th Japa affirmations? Second, what are the three Svarupa Shakti of the Lord's eternal energy?
Third, what happens in the stage of Bhava? Fourth, what are the 5 rasa in Bhava Bhakti?
Fifth, what are the 4 ways to see the difficulties in this material world? Sixth, what's the mood in which we have to serve the Guru?
Seventh, name the 9th offense to avoid while chanting our japa. Eighth, name 4 ways we should not do our japa. Thank you so much for the wonderful quiz questions. Let us now open the lines. Hare Krishna. Garima.
Hare Krishna Mataji Prabhuji, Danvid Pranam, all glories to Shri Prabhupada and your selfless services. Now, I really love the class. Now, you were talking about all these yogas. Now, so I have one question that when like I'm chanting and this like my mind is going everywhere, so how do I like how do I stop it?
Very practical question, Beta. Very practical question.
You, I mean, there are 4 ways that we discussed day before yesterday or yesterday, I believe, techniques of mind control. So one of the ways is run to Krishna. Krishna, see, all these things are distracting my mind. Please save me from these distractions. Krishna, please go behind, hide behind Krishna and say, look, these distractions are coming behind me. And Krishna will just splash them away. And then you can go back to chanting. And say, don't worry, I got it. You continue chanting. And then you focus on simply hearing. Again, those distractions, your mind gets distracted, run to Krishna. That's what devotees know. I mean, run to Krishna in your mind. Don't run, actually.
Thank you so much. Okay, thank you. I understand.
Thank you, Beta, for the wonderful question. Thank you. Next, Kirti.
Hare Krishna Mataji Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, Guru and Gauranga. I really Haribol. I really like today's class, especially all the rasa and the bhakta thingy that you were talking about before. And I also liked what you're not supposed to do when you chant. That's what I like the most about every single session. I actually have one question today. So in the 9 offenses, it's saying that one offense is to consider chanting of the holy name auspicious or something that you should only do on some days. So if a beginner is chanting like how I used to chant before, I only used to chant like on auspicious days or something. So when we chant on auspicious days.
Oops. Okay, Kirti, I think got dropped off. Please join back, Kirti. We'll take your question then. Till then, we can have Manasi. We are waiting for you to join back, Kirti. There. Kirti is here. Kirti?
Mataji, can
Yeah,
am I
you better. Go ahead.
I think I got cut. So when you're actually in the process of chanting on really auspicious days to like a daily chanting, would Krishna, because it's actually written in the Shastras like a offense, will it be still counted as an offense when you're still trying to like change your chanting system? Like first you used to chant on auspicious days and now you're chanting daily and it's already an offense written. Would it be considered as we made an offense because we're trying to fix our our devotional process?
Well, the 8th offense is to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, karma kanda. Chanting on auspicious days is not really considered to be offensive at all, actually, because there are many who do that. And
I think what you're saying is that auspicious, like earlier, before taking up the chanting of Hare Krishna, before you were devotees, you would chant Hare Krishna only on auspicious days. And so, was that an offense when you're chanting, to consider chanting of Hare Krishna as an auspicious activity offered in the Vedas as fruitive activity, karma kanda? The offense is not chanting on auspicious days. The offense is considering Hare Krishna same as that chanting which gives fruitive benefits. Like chanting, in essence, what that offense means is chanting for material benefits. So if whether now or previously, if we were chanting out of material benefits, that is the 8th offense. And it doesn't matter whether we are chanting on auspicious days or not, but considering them same as those auspicious rituals which we do to get material benefits, that is an offense. If we say Hare Krishna means I'm chanting Hare Krishna to get better results in studies. I'm chanting Hare Krishna to so that Krishna can give me all some money. I'm chanting Hare Krishna so Krishna can give me good health. If that is our motive of chanting Hare Krishna, that is the eighth offense. And on auspicious days, if we were chanting Hare Krishna to get some fruitive results, material desires, material benefits, then yes, that was an offense then. And but the rectification of that offense is that now chant for spiritual desires. And then as soon as you rectify that, that offense goes away. Because at that time we were chanting with offenses. Now we have upgraded to chanting in the Namabhas stage where we are trying to eradicate the offenses, which will lead us to Shuddha Nam, which is chanting without any offenses.
So there is no problem that before we were, chanting with offenses. So will Krishna consider that also? No, Krishna is not so insensitive. Krishna is a person who is so loving, he is so caring that Krishna actually looks for excuses to give us the mercy. So he will not look for excuses to punish us. Rather, he looks for excuses to give us his mercy. So that's why Krishna will not feel that, oh, that time you chanted with offenses, now you're chanting without offenses, so I will give you that reaction also. No, no, no. Krishna won't do that. If we are really feeling, repentance in our heart, that Krishna, I did it without knowing, please forgive me and please accept me for who I am now. Please purify me and accept me. Krishna accepts that. So we hope that this answers your question, Peter.
I understand now. I actually have one more question also.
Yes.
So like really elevated souls like Srila Prabhupada and everybody who came to this material world to like preach to us what Krishna is all about, they still need to suffer in this material world, like how Prabhupada got 2 heart attacks. If Krishna wants them to preach his holy name, why does he also need to make them suffer? They don't need to suffer because in the last birth they didn't make any sins or anything. Why does Krishna need to make them suffer again if they didn't even do anything? They're just here to preach to us.
Yes, very, very
Yes.
wonderful
And
question.
this was addressed, I think, 3 days ago, where we said, why do devotees suffer? So it said that your devotees, they suffer because Krishna wants them to set an example for others. Yes, Krishna chose them to preach the holy names. And how they would preach the holy names? By their example. By more preaching is actually done more by example than by words. It's if someone just speaks in words, but in their example they are not chanting, they are not taking shelter of the holy name, then it doesn't have any effect. So those who are preachers, Krishna puts them in difficulty so that they can uh, truly take shelter of the holy name and set an example for others. So now we know, because Prabhupada went through that phase, and now we know what did he do when he was faced with 2 heart attacks. Did he just give up everything? And did he just say, okay, I tried going to the West, the fulfilling the order of my spiritual master, but I had these 2 heart attacks, I'm going back now. If he would have done that, no one would have said anything to him because it's a perfectly valid reason. But what example did Prabhupada set? He said, even if we are in difficulty, take shelter of the holy name and continue your service to the spiritual master. Whatever difficulties Krishna put him in, how did he react? He always reacted by taking shelter of Guru and Krishna. And now we have his example. It's recorded, it's there. And when we face difficulties, now we know how to take shelter. Because it's easy to say, yeah, take shelter of the holy name, take shelter of the holy name. But how do we take shelter of the holy name? That we know by the example of these great devotees. So preaching means preaching by example. And so Krishna helps them in setting examples. So Krishna also is helping them. It's not like, okay, now I put you in misery and now you take care, now you set example. No, I will be there with you because you are there for my service. So Srila Prabhupada says that when he was suffering 2 heart attacks, He felt that Krishna had come and all the incarnations were taking the Jaladuta along with him. So that vision was given to him by Krishna, that to develop that faith. So by example, in order to set an example for others, pure devotees are put in difficulty, not because of their past karmas, because as you are right, past karmas are all eradicated. But when not pure devotees are put into difficulties, that is so that we can get purified easily. Krishna gives this much difficulty, he puts into small, and he gives a small amount of difficulty so that we can correct ourselves and get purified. Does that make sense?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you, Mataji, Prabhuji, for a beautiful session. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Beta. Hari Bol. Thank you.
Hari
Vinita
Bol.
Mataji. Hari Bol, Beta. Vinita
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna Prabhuji, Hare Krishna Mataji, Danvat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. Prabhuji, Mataji, today you raised a point that about, like, I have a question. We have so many preachers of ISKCON now, but like, I have been hearing them since the last 3 years, but the taste develops for a few. Okay. So how do we manage this thought? Are we doing an offense? Like when I started hearing few, like I started gaining knowledge from my Shiksha gurus, my teachers, whoever preached in, like I'm from Juhu ISKCON. I've enjoyed their lectures. I came to the US, I enjoyed your lecture. I enjoy Amrinder Prabhu. But sometimes we discriminate, like, Arey, they speak so well. Arey, this one speaks so well. So are we doing an offense there? And if, then how do we manage our thoughts?
Well, it's not, sometimes, yes, when we are discriminating, yesterday we discussed this point, remember, that when our, ruchi, our taste, is based on external reasonings, then it is, that kind of taste. It's not the shuddha ruchi, where, we are just plainly attached to hearing the holy names, or just plainly attached to listening about Krishna, irrespective of who the speaker may be. So that is one kind of ruchi that we had discussed yesterday, and it's not offensive. It is not offensive, but it is just that, sometimes, um based on our time, we are all busy and crunched in time. We are, split up with so much of responsibilities that we have to follow in our own lives, in our own responsible, households. So our time gets very restricted. So utilizing that time in a very judicious way, without, we have to be very, very mindful and conscious that we make judicious use of our time. So if we feel that, yes, listening to this person really motivates me a lot, listening to this person really helps my sadhana a lot, there's nothing wrong in doing that. But then when we start comparing that, oh, this speaker is really good, this speaker is not that good, that's why I won't listen to him. If we have that consciousness, then that is wrong. But rather, if we are going about it in this consciousness that, I'm pressed on time, and listening to this particular speaker helps me in my spiritual progress, therefore I will listen to this person. Krishna is pleased by that. You see, everything boils down to our consciousness, everything boils down to our feelings. Krishna is Bhava Grahi Janardana. And Srila Prabhupada, he was so wonderful. He is so wonderful. Srila Prabhupada named our society International Society for Krishna Consciousness. It's not Krishna activities. So it's all in our consciousness. What is our state of consciousness? If we are, comparing speakers and thus drawing conclusions and saying that, oh, this one is better, this one, sings nicely, that one doesn't sing so nicely, this one speaks verses so nicely, that one doesn't speak verses so nicely. If you're making this kind of comparison, that is offensive.
Okay.
But rather, if we are just doing it for,
If this
in the
is
other
being
way,
done,
then that's perfectly fine.
like with me personally, like my thirst for new knowledge is more. Like what I've already heard, I try to avoid that and go for like that thing I do that I want to confess. Okay, I check the topic and all, and then I put myself in that slot, even if I'm free, even if I'm not free. I try to gain that type of knowledge. So is that an offense?
No, that is not an offense. Look, because all the preachers, we are all in it in the same team.
Okay.
All preachers are actually serving together in Srila Prabhupada's service so that more and more people can develop taste for hearing and chanting. Now, one person or one group of people cannot attract everyone. Therefore, we need many preachers who can present in different ways, and that attracts different people. So it just depends who we are attracted to at some point. Then we listen to them, we hear them. We are all in the same team, and our goal is that everyone hears and chants Krishna's holy name. That is the ultimate goal. Now, if we are not listening to someone and listening, if we are not listening out by not being grateful, whoever has helped us in our spiritual life, we should be grateful to them. That principle should be there. So
Okay.
whether you are listening to someone for one reason or the other doesn't mean that you become ungrateful to the person who has helped us previously. We should always maintain uh, a sense of gratitude towards anyone who has helped us even little, and that gratitude to those people, Krishna will make us advance in Krishna consciousness. So we have to ask ourselves, am I not listening to the other person because of ungratefulness, or am I grateful but due to practical reasons, this is what interests my mind right now, I'm going to listen to this person or persons right now, and then later you are always listening to them. So as long as there is no contempt and there is still gratefulness left for anyone who has helped us in spiritual life, then Krishna will, then it's not an offense.
Thank you, Prabhuji, Mataji. It was nice. I understood. I was living with that thing that I have switched because I used to miss that class sometimes knowingly also. But thank you so much. Yeah. I'll try to cover up that thought also that,
It's all in the consciousness. Just
yeah, it is.
don't
But,
take tension on it.
I crave for more of like more and more. Like it's getting, the thirst is getting more. I want to know more. I want to know more. So I just check the topic and that pleases me. Ki, I want to hear this today. And sometimes I feel it's a repetitive topic. Maybe like my speaker, my Shiksha Guru have been very good to me. They've given me so much that today I can walk on this path. But I had that feeling that I am doing it wrong, like sometimes. So I just wanted to clear that with you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Anjali Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji and Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Dandavat
Bol.
Pranam.
Mataji and Prabhuji, can you share your personal experiences on your journey of developing taste in chanting? If what are the few disciplines that have helped you, and some things that have really helped you in advancing in this?
Well, some things that personally have helped is when we hear Srila Prabhupada chanting and doing our japa, Prabhupada in between he says, sit properly. And so that's definitely helped in improving the posture during chanting. And uh, for me, one of the most important things was to see these great devotees chanting. Just to chant whenever either my spiritual masters or other gurus and disciples of Srila Prabhupada who are so attracted to the holy name, when I see them chanting, sometimes in Mayapur, sometimes in Vrindavan, sometimes in our local temples, I try to go and sit near them just to experience their vibration when they are chanting, and it does make a difference. I would experience my chanting improved, especially on that particular day when I would sit near a person who is very, very intensely chanting. And so that has helped me a lot. And of course, just having the desire to keep improving the japa, this japa book by His Grace Bhurijan Prabhu has helped a lot. Japa workshops by, I think we attended few Japa workshops in mid 2000s by Giriraj Maharaj, by Mahatma Prabhu, and those have also helped us. And continuously hearing different lectures, all of these things that we are sharing in the workshop are nothing new. But even when we are speaking it, it still sounds new, because newer and newer realizations come with the same thought that we are expressing. So these are some of the things which have definitely helped, especially associating with those who have intense desire to chant the Hare Krishna mantra.
For me, I'm still in that stage of trying to experience it. Um, it's definitely a long way to go, but yes, when we chant every day, for me, my greatest inspiration is Prabhu. Actually, I see him that with a regular job, how he I'm a homemaker, but Prabhu has a regular 9 to 6 job. But then even with that, and our classes every day, how he has this much determination to chant. So seeing that example in front of my eyes really is very, very inspiring. It motivates me to also chant very nicely, sincerely. And of course, the points that Prabhu said, in my, I remember in my young age when I was introduced, I was 11 when I was introduced to chanting. And that time, the only thing that attracted me at that young age, in this body, it was basically how I saw, my spiritual master chant, chanting with him, going around with him, and chanting with other senior devotees. Like I remember in those days, His Holiness Srila Bhakti Vikas Maharaj would come and visit our yatra. And chanting with Bhakti Vikas Maharaj was amazing. One thing that I learned from Bhakti Vikas Maharaj, that even one moment, even when he would go to the restroom, because I used to serve Bhakti Vikas Maharaj personally. So, Bhakti Vikas Maharaj, whenever he would go to the restroom, he had a small, like in those days we had cassette players, so he had this small cassette player that he would take inside the restroom, and he would play it on to listen to Prabhupada chanting. Even in the bathroom, he would keep that. And then I asked Maharaj, Maharaj, is it okay to chant, like to take the Mahamantra inside the bathroom? He said, of course, even one moment we should not waste. Why do you want to waste even one moment? So that was a huge inspiration, and just seeing these great souls, that how they engaged every moment of their life, centered around Srila Prabhupada, centered around Krishna, gave that huge motivation, and of course, all Srila Prabhupada's disciples, and even in our generation, we have such sincere devotees, who are so determined in their sense of, sadhana. That is very, very inspiring. One thing that personally inspires me, which we will share tomorrow also as part of the presentation, is some practical tips which have helped me over the years personally. Like when we enter the kitchen, we enter with the mood that, okay, I'm going there for cooking. When we go to the bathroom, we know for what purpose we are going to the bathroom. When we come to the dining table, we know that we are going to eat some prasad. So the mind automatically relates to the place we are going to. So one thing that I had heard from Srila Giriraj Maharaj, this is what he had told us, that therefore we must have a sacred place where we can relate to, the mind can connect that, okay, when I enter this place, I'm going for my japa. Automatic mind control. that when we go into that space, as soon as we enter into that place, okay, now the mind is prepared that, okay, now I'm coming in for my chanting. And that really, really helps, really helps. Um, Chanting in the early morning hours is especially very, very um, motivational for me personally. Doesn't really matter what time we take rest, but if we can chant during that time, that taste for chanting, during that particular time in the morning, and just chanting and being absorbed, that's what keeps us going every day. Like I remember from my school days, I used to chant from 3 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock, 3 to 5, fixed, whatever it is, I would chant. And then I would just attend Mangalarti and then leave for school. So, that was a steady practice which is continuing even till today. And that, that, that just that time, it's automatically fixed in the mind that, yes, this is our japa time, it is our time with Krishna, and therefore we have nothing else that can compromise that. So that's some things that really help us in our daily practice. But we have a long, long way to go. And, all of your association motivates us in that practice. So.
I remember one time I went to meet Giriraj Maharaj, and Srila Giriraj Maharaj was chanting. And he looked at me, he, greeted, and then he said, "Why don't you sit with me and chant, and then we can talk?" So I was allowed to chant like one full round with him, and then Srila Giriraj Maharaj asked to chant. And one thing I learned from him, seeing Giriraj Maharaj, was before and after every round, we say Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Vrinda. So Srila Giriraj Maharaj would chant that, and he would also chant Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Iva Kevalam, Kalau Nastyeva, Nastyeva, Nastyeva Gatiranyata. And then he would chant the Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya mantra and the Hare Krishna mantra. So after chanting with him, I also developed that same practice, because after every mantra, it kind of focuses in our mind that this is it. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Iva Kevalam. And then it again revitalizes us to focus again on chanting the holy names. And also chanting with Vaisheshika Prabhu helped a lot, seeing his determination, and he sits in the same pose for the entire 2 hours, and very intense chanting, very consistent. So that has helped when he visited our local temple here. And also Srila Jayapataka Maharaj gave such wonderful tips on chanting. When he would, actually, Srila Jayapataka Maharaj, he chants on a clicker which has, because of his physical condition, he chants on a clicker which has a tulsi bead on the place where you put the thumb on the counter. And so he is actually emulating Japamala on the clicker. He has embedded a tulsi bead on that. So he's actually clicking on the tulsi. And so one time I was serving him, and he was to go to sleep in the afternoon. And so I had to just sit there in case he needs something. So I was sitting in the room, I was reading some Srila Prabhupada's book, and suddenly I heard click, click. I was like, where's this sound coming from? And then I got up and I saw Srila Jayapataka Maharaj was like, he was taking rest, but he was chanting even while taking rest. And so that inspired, oh, wow, we can actually, and he had just gotten up. So he gets up with the holy names, chanting the holy names. And even in this condition, he is he asks his uh, servants and to actually make a mark of how many rounds he has chanted until what time, and makes sure that he chants 16 to 20 rounds every day, even more sometimes.
In fact, he actually one time told me, Jayapataka Maharaj told me that, I had made counting bead for him, and I had given him one. And he said, why just one? Don't you know that I need two counting beads? That time he was, this is back in the 90s, 1997. And he said that I need two counting beads. That one is for myself, where I keep chanting count for myself, and the other is for all the devotees who do not chant their rounds. I chant for them. So my extra rounds is dedicated for them. So from that day, it just showed that how merciful devotees are, that devotees actually chant for others also, and that day it really, opened our eyes to a totally new, different world. So we can also do it that way. So from that day, it inspired me to also chant for others, that there are so many conditioned souls who are bereft of Krishna's mercy. So if we chant for those souls, that somehow or the other, if they can come to Krishna and taste the holy names, so we can chant for them. We can chant for devotees who are not able to chant their rounds. We can chant for them. So all of this we learn from devotees, and that is so inspiring. This is what inspires us.
One, we can go on and on. I don't know. Maybe you're lamenting. Why did you ask that question? Because these experiences are so just take us to a different level, and
So
it's
so happy that that question came up. Hari bol.
one time I was sitting with Radhanath Maharaj, and he was chanting. We were chanting with a few devotees. One devotee was actually keeping time of his chanting from his phone, and after every time after every round, he would change the timing on his phone and things like that. And so Radhanath Maharaj in between asked him, "What are you doing?" He said, "Guru Maharaj, just to make sure that I'm chanting properly and things like that." He said, "Then you use put a clock. Don't use phone, because phone is used for so many different purposes. Yes, it's used to keep time, but also there are other things which happen. So just use one thing for one purpose. So just get a digital clock if you want and keep that in front of you. Don't use phone for that." So that was another thing. We have to be extremely cautious with the use of the phone while chanting, not even for so-called legitimate purposes.
And Radhanath Maharaj chanting his japa. We were once in Las Vegas with Radhanath Maharaj, and he actually sorry, not Las Vegas, Laguna Beach. And we were there, and he took us to the beach to chant with him. And we just sat on the beach looking out into the ocean. And it was just the two of us. We were with Radhanath Maharaj. And we were just relishing, the waves coming in, and we were sitting and chanting japa with him. It was amazing just to hear him chant personally. And, it was a.
And one thing I learned from him is clear pronunciation. Hare Krishna. He makes like the face goes along with the pronunciation. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. You chant like that, you sway also. But that's something which I learned, that clear pronunciation. If we also make the face go along with the pronunciation, it helps in focusing our mind.
We can keep going. I remember one time Sri Maharaj, in 2000, was it 2019, in July, Bhakti Maharaj visited our home here, and he came here, and he fell in love with our altar, with our deities, and he said, "I want to chant my Gayatri here," and he sat and chanted his Gayatri. And then he said he had come home for prasadam. And it was Ekadashi day, and he said that before taking prasad, I want to chant a few rounds. So he sat with us and we chanted with Srila Bhakti Charu Maharaj. And, we had a desire that not just chanting japa, but if Maharaj could sometime, even chant for our deities, because Maharaj is the best kirtaniya in, in, present day. So Maharaj actually chanted with the harmonium. He chanted very beautifully for our deities.
And we were already excited by then because we somehow had the good fortune and opportunity. He allowed us to wash his lotus feet while we were, when he visited our house. And so we were already so much excited by that. And then we kept the water which had washed the lotus feet, and we would drink it every day. So it was so wonderful. That also enhances Bhakta Pada Dhulya, Bhakta Pada Jal, Bhakta Bhukta Avashesh, Etina Mahabhav. These are three sources of great strength authorized by Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu. So that helps in chanting tremendously.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Prabhuji and Mataji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
This was wonderful, wonderful experiences that you have shared. Feeling blessed.
So tomorrow we will have all of you share your experiences. Tomorrow would be the final day of the Japa workshop. So please, all of you, share your experience of this Japa workshop and other experiences of how you have been fortunate to get tips in improving your chanting, or how you are improving your chanting.
Hari. Hari. And also, can we have a darshan of your altar someday? Maybe tomorrow?
Yes,
Or
definitely.
today? Whenever, Hanji, whenever possible.
Yeah, definitely do it tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji and Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Shampakalata?
Hare Krishna Mataji and Prabhuji Dandapram, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Please accept my humble obeisances. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for a wonderful class, and
I really enjoyed
so
it.
many realizations. And this was the favorite part when I was hearing all the how you improved your japa and how all the Guru Vargas of ISKCON
And
you were
had
chanting
so much
with them.
pastime.
So wonderful. It actually motivating me also because I am not very good at chanting. I chant every day, but I'm not. Actually, this is my first Japa workshop. I've never attended any Japa workshop. So majority of information is actually new for me. I never knew anything. Let me put it this way: nothing I knew, except I knew that chanting and hearing, which I don't hear properly nicely. So thank you so much. I'm very, very grateful to you both for taking this japa, and slow by slow, I'm definitely going to work on it. It's helping me. But my main one question is, other day, Prabhu and Mataji, you both were talking about feelings while Japan. You also explained um, how to feel along with japa. But I tried 2 days. I was thinking how to feel, but that feeling is not coming. I'm not saying I'm demotivating, but I'm not able to understand how to get that feeling, because I'm just so used to mechanical japa, just
Right. Yes,
finishing
I
japa.
can understand that. Say, for
When
example, I'll give you a very beautiful example in this regard. Um, you have natural feelings of love towards Krishna and Garima, correct? You don't have to cultivate that because you know them. They are your babies. So you have natural feelings of love towards Garima and Krishna because they are your own babies. You love them. You don't have to, struggle to express your loving feelings to them. But just extrapolate this to any other child. We may not feel that much love till we actually know that child. The more we know that child, we develop much more attachment to them. Like, we can give our example. We don't have any biological children, but we feel so attracted and so much in love with Garima, Krishna, Kirti, Bhakti Priya, with Swara, with, Spurti, with Surid, all the wonderful kids, everyone.
Nandini yesterday.
Nandini, yes. So, we feel so much, love towards these kids. Why? Because we know them now. We know them. We know the qualities that they have. Therefore, that feeling of love automatically comes. But when we did not know Garima, or when we did not know Krishna, yes, in the first instance, we were not able to appreciate them fully. But now that we know them more and more, we are getting to appreciate them. The feeling is increasing day by day. It is increasing day by day. So the key is to know that person, to develop that relationship with that person. So the more we develop that relationship with Krishna, the more we develop the relationship with the holy name, we will get this feeling automatically. That is the struggle. That is sadhana bhakti, to just work on that relationship. It's not that, yes, today I decided, I heard today that, yes, we have to chant with feeling. So from today only, I will start chanting with feeling, and bus, tomorrow, I will be full of feeling towards Krishna. No, it doesn't come like that. We have to practice it. That is sadhana bhakti, to practice the cultivation of that loving feeling. Krishna, I'm not feeling love for you. Krishna, I am not feeling like this. What can I do? What can I do? How can I get to know you more? What can I really do to get to know you more? How can I get to know you more? That is sadhana bhakti. So we hope this answers your question.
Yes, Mataji, definitely. So I have to pray, right? Like I have to pray Krishna that how should I
Yes,
get that feeling? Give me that
yes.
feeling, right?
Before chanting, before starting to chant, pray that Krishna, I don't have this. Please
Because
give
other
me.
day, because other day Prabhu was talking about crying and he gave the wonderful example of beggar, that how I
Yes,
saw the beggar. Thinking crying and begging is the second step. First, I don't even have feeling. How do I even cry?
So
So
that's the thing. We cry for that feeling. And if we cannot cry for that feeling, we cry so that we can cry for that feeling. And if we cannot cry to cry for that feeling, then we cry so that we can cry to cry for that feeling. Whichever level we are at, we can be very open, honest with the holy name. The holy names will not judge us. We say, this is where I am, and I'm crying, please. I cannot even cry for you. So I'm crying so that I can cry for you. So, but we have, and sometimes we feel that if we have to have that feeling, it has to be 100%, or I will not feel. Even if it is 2%. I mean, the fact that we are chanting, we are in this Krishna consciousness movement, there is some love, maybe 1% love, 2% love for Krishna. It's okay if it is not 100%. Sometimes we feel, unless I feel 100%, it's not, then I'm not going in. Either I'm all in or nothing. But even if it's 2%, yes, feel that 2%. Krishna will accept that 2%, increase it to 3%, or increase it to 20%. You give little bit, you give, he'll return back in multiple folds. So we don't have to start with the perfect feeling of what Radharani feels for Krishna or what the gopis feel for Krishna. Unless I feel like what gopis feel for Krishna, I'm not going to feel anything. Sometimes we feel like that. So progress, not perfection. No need for perfecting that feeling. And if we are not able to even do that, then we cry for that feeling. Krishna, I'm so fallen, I'm not even able to feel for that. Please give me that so that I can chant for you with feeling, please. And we cry for that. We cry to the holy name for that. If we cannot cry, Prabhupada said, act. If we are not enthusiastic, act enthusiastic. Act as an expression of your desire.
Not to show others.
Not to show off to others. That is hypocrisy. But if we are acting that, even if we are acting and we're saying, Krishna, look, I'm trying. That act, when we act to cry or act being enthusiastic, is showing Krishna, look, Krishna, I'm trying. I'm not feeling it, but still I'm trying. Please give me the real feeling. Look, I want to. That act is an expression saying, I want to, Krishna. Look, I want to. I'm not able to, but I want to. And then Krishna will give the real feeling, the real mood. It will come. It will come. It is the experience of so many devotees, and it will happen with everyone who tries. And we try by acting sincerely, not appropriately.
Okay, so we hope this answers
Sure,
your
Prabhu.
question.
Definitely. With your prayers and blessings, definitely it will come. I have faith in your words and definitely it will come. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Japa.
Mataji.
Thank you.
So much
Hari
for helping.
Bol. Krishna Garima, love
Great.
you. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hari Krishna.
Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances, Mataji and Prabhuji.
Who is
Mataji, this is Keshri Mataji.
Hari Krishna Keshavi. Hari Krishna.
And all. Mataji, today is Satish Prabhu birthday. Please, you both wish them and, please bless them that Prabhu should get initiated with Guru Maharaj and he should do wonderful services to Guru and Gauranga Mataji.
We thought
It's a
that Satish
wonderful
Prabhu
birthday.
he had a hand raised. Is he in the class?
Yes, Mataji, every day he listens. Radha
Wonderful.
Mataji
Satish
and
Prabhu,
Satish
can
Prabhu.
you please come online? We saw you had a hand raised. Hari Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Onto your lotus feet.
Hare Krishna.
Pranam, wish you a very, very Krishna conscious happy birthday.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Happy birthday to you.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhujis and Matajis. With your blessings and krupa, we want to increase our Krishna consciousness. Please bless us, our family, Mataji, Prabhuji.
Definitely. Your family is already blessed, but we will definitely pray that you all develop attraction to the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada and to Shri Radha and Krishna.
May all your
Hari
spiritual desires be fulfilled, and may Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan shower their choicest blessings upon you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So this is the message. I mean, I am feeling very happy, Mataji, and so blessed. And I'm under Siksha Gurus, nice Siksha Gurus like Keshwar Mataji and Venkatpati Prabhu. They're guiding us very well. I'm very fortunate to have them, Prabhuji and Matajis.
Very well,
Yes,
very well,
yes.
very nice. Very nice.
Very good. Please continue.
We are following the guidance of Mataji and Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji,
You
for
are
blessing us.
in very good hands.
Thank you so much, Keshavi. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ma. Lots of love to you. Thank you. Nandini Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji and Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna.
Dandavat.
Mataji, in today's session, about spiritual masters, love and truth, Mataji, that was really new for me.
Love and
But
trust.
I did not.
Yes.
Yes, Mataji.
Love and trust.
Love and trust.
Yes.
Yeah, Mataji.
Yes.
That in that angle, I did not think in that way, Mataji. So spiritual masters' importance, I really knew that in today's class, Mataji.
Wonderful. We are very
Hare
happy that we were able to serve you in some way. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. And Mataji and Prabhuji, you are also, I am very grateful to your classes, sessions. I invite you so that I can serve your lotus feet.
Hare Krishna. We will come to definitely, I'll come and give you a big hug, and we are waiting for the day that we can meet with you.
Thank you, thank you. Whenever you come to India, you please find time to drop in.
Yes, yes, we look forward to. Thank you. Thank you so much, Nandini. Thank you.
Thank you. Mataji, one more request, Mataji.
Yes.
The Telegram app, I'm not able to join in that link, Mataji. Please, could you resend that in the WhatsApp group?
Have you downloaded the Telegram app?
Yes, Prabhuji. I downloaded that app. In that, there was a link to download Telegram app, no, Prabhuji.
Yes, yes.
Using that, I downloaded the Telegram app.
And you're not
I join the group.
Could you just personally message me? You are part of the Bhakti Mellows groups, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So
Yes,
can you
Mataji.
please message me and I can add you then?
Okay, Mataji.
Yeah, please message me so we can personally, or I can send you the link at that time. We'll do something, but just personally message me, please.
Okay, Mataji. Okay, Mataji.
And Hema Mataji, yes, this is the group again. So you can see if you can join from here. If you're not able to, just message me and we'll go from there.
Okay, Mataji. I will try once in Mataji.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji.
Rajeshwari.
Hare Krishna Mataji and Prabhuji Dandavat pranams. Mataji, Hare Krishna. Mataji, I have a question.
Yes.
You were saying during your school days you'll be waking up 3 to 5 and do your chanting. So like how in this current situation, like for working person and handling the houseworks also, like how we can able to do it, how we can manage it, because we are working and we are also doing the household works also single-handedly. So it is very difficult for me to getting wake up early in the morning and doing the chanting. So sometimes I feel sleepy because of the tiredness. So how we can able to do this?
Right.
You
Well,
give any tips?
the thing is that early to bed, early to rise. I used to sleep before 10 o'clock. Around 10:30, we must try to sleep so that we can get up at 3 o'clock. If we are, staying up too late in the night, it becomes very difficult to get up in the morning. The key is to give, the body enough rest. So if it is possible that if we can sleep at least by 10:30, maximum 11 o'clock or so, because actually, from the time that we sleep, the human brain, it sleeps for maximum 3 to 4 hours. So it's the most deepest from like 11:30 in the night till 2:30 2 to 30 in the morning. It's the most deepest and the most calmed sleep. So if you can try and do that, and if you can finish your japa in the morning, complete your japa in the morning, then before like what I have seen even Prabhu do is sometimes that before he starts his work, he gets up in the early morning and he completes his japa, and then after doing everything else, then before leaving for work, of course nowadays he is working from home, but before starting his work, take a power nap if possible, and that power nap during the day, it really helps, to take away all fatigue, even for 30 minutes, 45 minutes. If you can just sleep, in the morning after completing, like from
Power
7.
nap is typically 20 minutes. If you do
20
sometimes
minutes.
people just recline, not fully lie down, but just recline and take a power nap for 20 minutes. That helps a lot. But if you fully recline and sleep, then you'll get very drowsy after you.
So try doing that if possible. But yeah, during the day, is there any possibility that you can take some rest, or is that no possibility at all?
Yeah. Okay, Mataji. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so you
Thank you
can
for
see what you can, figure out. But yes, the early morning japa is always the best kind. Always the best.
Yeah. Okay, Mataji. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Raji. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Any other questions? If not, we look forward to seeing all of you tomorrow for our last session of the Japa workshop. Next week is the Gita Jayanti week. So we will give you a little update right now and we will repeat it again tomorrow. Then next week on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, no, Monday and Tuesday we'll not have class. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 4 days we'll have a break. And then Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, 3 days we will have back-to-back classes. And on Friday, the day of Gita Jayanti, on the 25th, that day we will have a session in the morning, which will be India time in the evening, so that the Gita Jayanti falls on the same time for all of us from joining from different parts of the world. We'll have different timings. So please stay tuned for more, announcements and what we are going to do special on the day of Gita Jayanti and the 2 special sessions before the day of Gita Jayanti. Please stay tuned.
There's a question for Prince.
Oh, okay. How to have some intensity in chanting in last
Same
rounds
intensity.
of Japa. Okay, how to have same intensity as successive, my efficiency reduces.
Well, if you're typically, if you are chanting properly, your efficiency would increase, our taste would increase. But if it reduces, then maybe before the last 4 rounds, you can read some book on chanting. Like I would recommend Japa book by Bhurijana Prabhu. There is also Nectarian Ocean of the Holy Name by Sachinandan Maharaj. There are so many other books, Harinam Chintamani, which is translated by Bhanu Maharaj and also by Sachinandan Maharaj. So they are very small books. There is also Mahatma Prabhu's these 20 Japa affirmations. If you read these Japa affirmations, take a break, like after 12 rounds, maybe take a break and then read these Japa affirmations or some one paragraph from any of these books focused on chanting only. And then you will get renewed vigor. And then you can complete your 4 rounds. But read for only 5 to 7 minutes maximum. Don't keep reading for like half an hour after that, because then you will not have time to chant also. But even 5 minutes, you read the Japa affirmations, you read some of these things, these books, it'll give you renewed vigor in the middle of chanting, and then you can continue chanting.
One other thing that Srila Jayapataka Maharaj taught us in Mayapur, because we were raised in Mayapur. So there in Mayapur, you have told us that you like the Navadvip Parikrama. So in Mayapur, there are Radha Madhava Ashtasakhis, that is 10 of them. Then there is Panchatattva, who is 5, that makes 15. And there's Lord Narsingadev, who is 16. So Srila Jayapataka Maharaj taught us a very simple formula to very easily chant our 16 rounds, is that dedicate each and every round to these 16 personalities. Dedicate your first 10 rounds to Radha Madhava Ashtasakhis. Dedicate your next 5 rounds to Panchatattva. And dedicate your last round to Narsingadev. So that way, it is very easy to chant your 16 rounds. This is just some practical tips. Hope that helps you. Hare Krishna.
All right. Thank you very much. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you all again tomorrow. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank